Hi, welcome back to Dr. Costine's commentary, and I'm continuing talking about different LGBT history and myth characters that I love talking about. I have a big passion about this, and I know a lot of it's not taught in the schools yet, so here's an opportunity to learn about different aspects of LGBT history that you probably have not heard about, and if you have, that's great. Please, help us continue to spread the word. So one of my favorite historical figures that I want to talk about today, her name is Enheduanna, and she lived around 2300 BC in the area of Sumner, and that is kind of in the Iraqian era now. And she was born into a prominent family. Her father was a king, and she was a priestess of the goddess era, where the goddesses were worshipped, and she was also a poet. So this is why we know about her today. So Enheduanna, very interesting woman. She wrote quite a number of poems, and she was well known in her area for her poetry. And one person that she wrote a lot of poetry to was actually a goddess named Inanna. Now, Inanna is a very important goddess from ancient Mesopotamia area. If you study that time period, she comes up in all kinds of areas with different names: Ishtar, Inanna, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of myths about her, and I'm going to talk about one of her myths later. But what's really important about Enheduanna is she was actually writing love poems to this goddess Inanna. And Judy Grahn, who is an LGBT historian, wrote in Another Mother Tongue about this piece. And basically she said, among other historians who have studied Enheduanna and Inanna, that Enheduanna was basically in love with Inanna. I mean, we can tell this from her poetry. So that's a really interesting component. Now, the other really interesting piece about Enheduanna that I love is, from what we can tell around the development of Western civilization, is that she was the first poet-writer of the time to use the word I. So up until that point, we do not have any record of anyone using the word I in their writing until Enheduanna. So that's a really big kind of jump psychologically and the ego development historically for all human beings. And it turns out she was writing about love for the goddess Inanna. So from a lesbian lens, we could say that she had lesbianic eros towards this goddess. And again, so we like to look at history, we take it out of the heterosexual lens, the lens that only sees everything as heterosexual, and we see that there is this amazing woman at this incredible time in ancient civilization who was the first one to use the letter I, who was writing about her love for another woman. Well, it was a goddess, but it was a love nonetheless. So I find that really comforting and interesting, and I think a really important piece of our history to continue to tell people about. Thank you so much for listening today.